Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Game Week 24 knee-jerk stream. Plenty to talk about. What a week so far. I finally got points from Van Dijk. Finally got points from Szoboszlai. I'm up to 2.5k in the world. Man United are beating Arsenal. Arsenal are bottling the league. Probably not, but it makes things more interesting. What a week. What a week so far. Lots to talk about. I know people are going to be wildcarding this week. I probably won't be going through wildcard teams in this stream, but I will talk about that this week. Don't worry. I know a lot of you are going to pop the chip. Bruno Fernandes, legend. Dorgu, by the way, if you played him, fair play. What a goal. But he does look to have picked up a hamstring problem, so he's probably going to be out. Well, not directly. Sorry, not indirectly. That probably does help in Burmo's minutes. He got subbed early again today, but obviously with no Dorgu, you need someone else to go and play on that left. Could be Cunha from the start and Brian up front. So, yeah, lots to talk about. I'll get into all your questions and stuff. I don't really have too much more to say for my team, I don't think. I'm on, 53. I'm all out. So I'm 2.5k. But that'll obviously go down tomorrow because I've got no players in the Everton-Leeds game. I should have started Anderson over Haaland, but I'm not going to moan too much because I've had another pretty good week. What a strike from Cunha it was. Is it time to let go of Haaland? Probably not, I would say. Because again, where are you spending the money? Palmer wasn't in the squad today. Salah didn't look amazing. I think he was fine, but not amazing. I don't think it's worth 2 transfers to swap. And I think the chances are that Haaland doesn't get benched again for a long time. So I just probably wouldn't go to Salah. I don't think, by the way, it's necessarily bad to go Salah instead of Haaland. But I wouldn't sell Haaland for any other reason, really, right now. Can you please congratulate me for benching Dorgu for his 17, 15 and 8-pointer? Ouch. I mean, I would have probably benched him against Arsenal as well. I think most people that benched him probably had a better defender on paper. But obviously, if he does keep playing left wing and he can get back fit, then good option. But we'll have to see. What are your thoughts on holding Saka? I mean, weirdly, like, Saka had a pretty rubbish game. I think the first 20 or 25 minutes, Arsenal were really good and Saka had some joy down the right side. But after that, he just didn't really do anything. But ironically, I think that result makes me more want to hold him because he's definitely going to start against Leeds, right? He's not going to start midweek in the Champions League. That will be Madueke. The lead that Arsenal have in the league has now been cut to 4 points. Like, he's going to start against Leeds, so I'll just wait and see after that. Again, I don't really need the money. I don't think there's a midfielder this week that's like miles better than him. And I've only got 1 transfer. So I'm not going to do like Saka to Mbeumo or Saka to Rice. I know it's the same old conversation, but that's just how I feel about it. It would have been nice if Saka had got something from the 2 goals and Man United had still won. But it is what it is, right? Has this week been any clearer on the cheap forwards between Krupi and Mane? I mean, it's the same conversation, really. Krupi, while the minutes are there, is probably the better option, but Mane is probably a little bit more secure for minutes, I would say, at the moment. So I'd probably go Krupi, but obviously Wolves might have a double in 26. 29-point week, going to have to force the wildcard in 24 after the Foden Haaland news. But keep in mind, Haaland will probably be fine now. I don't think you need to wildcard just because of Haaland. Because of Foden, fair enough. Knowing your luck, Saka will finally haul after everyone else gets rid. I mean, this is the thing, right? People said the same thing about Van Dijk. Like, in my mind, Saka is still a good pick as long as he gets minutes. Like, let's not pretend that Saka is this rubbish player. Like, Saka scoring a goal wouldn't be luck, you know? It's just whether he's worth keeping or worth using a transfer on. And for my team, I just don't think it's worth it. And I know the argument is there about value, etc. But again, without repeating myself, like I've done for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I don't need the money that selling him kind of gives me right now. Annoyingly, because I did Foden to Bruno on, I mean, I can't complain about this because I only did it because of the leak. But had I done Foden to Bruno on Friday night instead of Saturday night, I would have been able to afford to do Szoboszlai straight to Mbeumo this week. So I am probably going to have to roll this week, get another transfer, and then decide whether to get Mbeumo in game week 25. And also, I don't think I need to force the Mbeumo move because I want to see if he gets subbed early while Dorgu is injured and while it's an easier fixture. I think that Fulham game's now interesting for Man United to see how they set up. Presumably, it will just be the same team, apart from Cunha will play left wing. But it'd be good to see. So I probably won't force Mbeumo in, but if people are thinking about him, I quite like him. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I will get 2 more points after the update tomorrow because according to FOTMob, Van Dijk's been boosted from 8 to 13 defensive contributions, so he'll get an extra 2 points. So actually, I'm going to be on 55, but let's wait and see tomorrow. So a pretty good week. Is Ekitike a must sell? Honestly, I kind of feel like, you know how bad the Ekitike pick has been, because I actually now feel sorry for owners because it wasn't a bad pick, and you've been absolutely screwed over with the number of points. I think Ekitike owners are in a really tough place because I don't think it's super obvious that you keep, but I also don't think it's super obvious that you sell. Because who'd you go to? Like Bowen, but then it's Chelsea this week. Igor Jesus has got okay fixtures. Honestly, I'd probably go over Nielsen if I was going to go a bit cheaper and I wanted to dodge Thiago or if I already owned him. I wouldn't say he's a must sell because I suspect he will start the next game. But the problem you've got now is no guarantee week to week. Even without Isak there, he's not guaranteed to start. And Arne Slot basically said there's another 4 months to go. We can't risk him. So I think as soon as you've got the spare transfers to deal with it, I think there's better ways to spend the money. But I wouldn't start taking hits, I don't think, for it. João Pedro, look, he scored today and played about 80 minutes. I just think with the lap there, I just wouldn't bother. Like, it could be that João Pedro plays number 10, Delap plays 9, Enzo Fernandez goes a bit deeper, especially against maybe easier opponents. But there's no guarantee. The minutes recently for João Pedro haven't been amazing. I personally wouldn't bother with it. But at the same time, I don't hate it because of the fixtures. So if you want to punt it, that's absolutely fine. But I just think, I don't think João Pedro is necessarily better than Evan Nielsen. And Evan Nielsen's just got good fixtures from now until like game week 31. Would you get rid of Palmer this week for Mbeumo, Semenyo, and free up some cash? So I did say earlier on Twitter that I think Palmer is absolutely done as a pick. I will say maybe that was a bit dramatic. If Palmer's available midweek and he gets some minutes and it looks like he's going to start at the weekend, I'd probably keep him. But I'm not sure I would buy him right now. Like, he's a huge differential. Again, do you need the money? Like, it's all well and good going to Mbeumo, Semenyo. Actually, I wouldn't buy Semenyo personally now, but if you wanted to, fair enough. If you need the money, if not, I would wait midweek. And if he gets some minutes, maybe just risk it. I was so on Bowen captain after the Haaland news, but didn't, only because of early kickoff. Didn't want to go through the pain for the whole week. Don't make decisions based on when teams are playing. But look, you've got him anyway. You had the points from from Bowen. It's still a good week. So Cunha and Mateus Fernandez for -4. Ouch. I mean, by the way, I think selling Cunha was absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, he was benched the last 2 games. Like, most of the time, if you don't buy players that get benched, you're probably going to do quite well. So I wouldn't beat yourself up for selling Cunha. You know, it is what it is. He scored off the bench. Like, you just can't rely on those things, you know. What about Ekitike to Watkins? I don't mind Watkins, but they're going to buy a new forward, so his minutes are going to take a dip. So it's going to be a little bit like the Ekitike situation. You got like a £9 million forward with no penalties, and the minutes aren't even completely guaranteed. Now, I suspect Watkins will play more minutes than Ekitike, but if Tammy Abraham comes in, he will get minutes off the bench, and he might start at some point. Gordon to Mbeumo now. Ahmad should eat into his minutes. Look, all I can say is Mbeumo's been subbed twice around the 70th minute in the first 2 games. If that's going to continue, I probably wouldn't buy him, but I can't tell you if it's going to continue until I see more games, you know? But I'd much rather have Mbeumo than Gordon, I think. I don't think there's too much debate there. Get rid of high-owned players starting with Haaland. I mean, get rid of players that need to be sold, I guess, for players that need to be brought in. But I don't think Haaland's in that position right now. Can you suggest some replacements for Ekitike? I think my number one would, like, and it depends how much money you want to spend, right? If you've got, okay, this is my like initial gut reaction to the weekend. You know, it's a stream, so the thoughts aren't always quite as concise or like in order like they are in a video. But I think if you've got Thiago, Ekitike, Haaland, which I know a lot of people do, I would just tank that spot, I think. I know sometimes you look at midfielders, you think there's not that many, but I think there's like a constant stream of okay midfielders. It's not the case with forwards. So I would tank the spot if you've got 3 forwards. If you're on Haaland and Ekitike and you've already tanked one spot, I would look at Evan Nielsen. I think you can come back to Thiago later on if you want to. So that's probably what I would do. Would you hold Cunha with Dorgu potentially out? Yes. If you've got Cunha, I'd be very tempted to hold him now. I mean, obviously, you'll have to wait and see what Carrick says, but Dorgu went off with a hamstring problem. He's going to miss at least 1 or 2 games, you'd imagine. And I suspect that Cunha will just start left wing. We don't really have a left winger otherwise. He's not going to like put Luke Shaw there or something like that. It's just never going to happen. Because then who would play left back, you know? Wirtz and Wilson for Mbeumo and Enzo, or just the latter. Harry Wilson, people were talking about selling Harry Wilson on the deadline stream, I would just keep it. I wouldn't necessarily buy him right now, but I would definitely keep him. Like, just do Wirtz to one of Mbeumo or Enzo and just keep Wilson. Wilson's a pretty nice long-term buy as long as the minutes are always there. Like, I've actually looked at future moves. My move in Game Week 31 might be Saka to Harry Wilson. 4 free transfers, 1.5 million in the bank. Thinking of using 3 transfers on Achimpong, Foden, Ekitike to Timber, Mbeumo, João Pedro. 4th transfer to sell Gordon, but to who for 8.1. How much is João Pedro? I'm actually not sure. I should know these things before I say I wouldn't buy him. I mean, I'm guessing he's around 7, or better not take out Haaland in case it accidentally makes a transfer. He's 7.1. How much is Evan Nielsen? See, in that case, right, so in your case, you're saying you've got Gordon for who for 8.1. I would go for Evan Nielsen over João Pedro, and then I would get... Oh, no, you've already included Mbeumo, sorry. Enzo, then. Yeah, Enzo, I think. Seems good to me. Enzo's a pretty good buy. Also, if Palmer does... The more that Palmer struggles to play regularly, the better Enzo becomes, as we saw today, because he gets penalties. So I quite like him as an option. Should I be selling Foden this week, or is he okay? I would not be surprised if Foden starts, but the problem is now you've got that constant headache of will he or won't he? Like, you just can't guarantee it anymore. So my prediction will be that he'll start this week, but I said that last week and I was very wrong, as I'm sure people will be pointing out this week. I got the City team completely wrong. I got the Arsenal team pretty much spot on. Apart from the number 9. I did say though that Gabriel Jesus would have a chance to start him. Is Mbeumo really an upgrade compared to Enzo, considering the long-term fixtures? I mean, long-term fixtures, I think Mbeumo is better. I think with Enzo, my plan is probably to sell him in 28. If I had Mbeumo, I'd hold him all the way up till 31. But as always, right, there's a value question here as well. Enzo's a lot cheaper. What does that money unlock for you? So for my team, for example, for next week, you know, everyone's probably looking at it saying, you've got to sell Szoboszlai, you've got to sell Szoboszlai. But if I keep him, I've got 1.7 million to spend or something like that. So then I could get Munoz for Lewis Hall. Or do I downgrade Lewis Hall and get Mbeumo for Szoboszlai? Like, that's the kind of decision I got to make. So if you go for Enzo, what does that unlock elsewhere, you know? Doing a wildcard list of best/essential players. I will talk about wildcard this week. I mean, Bruno would be in there for sure. I mean, my midfield would probably be Rice, Fernandes, Mbeumo, Enzo, and then someone else who I haven't really thought about. Haaland. The forward would be interesting. I think I would be tempted by Evan Nielsen over Thiago. Gabriel, Timber, probably. The only thing to consider if you're on wildcard now is if you go Gabriel, Timber, Rice, and Haaland, you've got 4 players that will probably, not definitely, but probably blank in Game Week 31, in which case you'll be forced to sell one of them, which might be a bit annoying. Whereas if you go for someone like Raya, you can hide him on the bench a little bit easier. So that's something to think about on wildcard. I know everyone hates Raya. Timber came very close to scoring today, etc. But it's just something to think about. Sell Wirtz or Semenyo for Bruno Fernandes. Honest, that's a really tricky one. I think Wirtz is not that bad to hold if you don't need the money. But Semenyo, I mean, he started off so well. Like, this is the problem, right? It's like this constant, not, it's trap is probably the wrong word, right? But it does feel a little bit like that, like the constant trap with Man City players. Semenyo, he started a couple of games, or he started games since he came in. He scored as well, played 90 minutes every game. Like, surely he just keeps starting. But we say that about Man City players all the time. And Wirtz is not guaranteed minutes, by the way, but I think from now until like 30, and I'm going to use 31 as the end game week because I think a lot of people will dead end to that. I think I'd rather have Wirtz than Semenyo, honestly. Rodgers or Mbeumo. I don't know right now. I need to give that one a little bit more thought. My gut feeling is Mbeumo, especially when they're so close to being like the same price. I think Rodgers is about 0.5 cheaper. It's not that much. It's not like he unlocks loads of funds to spend elsewhere. And Mbeumo's underlying numbers are so much better this season. But if he's going to keep getting subbed at 70, Rodgers getting the full 90 every week is close. So I will say Mbeumo, but I'm not sure it's that cut and dry, honestly. But there is still a chance I buy Rodgers this week. I don't think I will. I think I will prioritise getting back to 2 free transfers. But I do have the money to go Szoboszlai to Rodgers. I don't have the money to do Szoboszlai straight to Mbeumo. Who to sell for Mbeumo between Gordon and Foden? I mean, that's just 2 horrible picks, right? Well, that's a bit harsh on Foden, maybe. I think ideally you want to sell them both soon. I think I would sell Gordon first. He's playing Liverpool away. Foden's got Spurs away. The only thing is, with Gordon, you got pretty much guaranteed starts. You don't necessarily have that with Foden now, but I think I would sell Gordon first. Mushfik, new member. Should I use a transfer for Neto to Enzo? Feels a bit sideways that. I'd probably just keep Neto, even though I don't think he's as good. Van Dijk to Chalobah. It's fine, yeah, if you want to do that. Oh my god, honestly, it's like deja vu talking about Van Dijk. I'm not going to do it because I think it's okay to play Van Dijk this week. It's not amazing. He probably will lose his clean sheet against Newcastle, but I can then bench him against City. And then from 26 to 30, Van Dijk's actually not bad when you look at the fixtures. So I just think if I bring in Chalobah, I'm definitely selling him in game week 28. So it's 2 transfers. I don't know. I just don't know if that's worth it. I think one thing to kind of point out right now, and like in terms of my play style, right, it's already quite boring in terms of rolling transfers. I'm very aware we got blanks coming up soon. I don't want to do anything that's kind of unnecessary. Like if you thought I was going to roll transfers before, I'm going to roll transfers as much as I can now because you got that blank in 31 to contend with, double and blank information. The fact that you can roll transfers through the wildcard helps as well. I'm not convinced that Van Dijk to Chalobah is worth it, but I could be wrong. See, I don't need to play Van Dijk next week. I think I've got 3 defenders with okay fixtures. So we'll see. Either way, I don't mind bringing Chalobah in this week. So if you really want him, go for it. Foden and Van Dijk to Mbeumo and Chalobah. Yeah, again, if on paper it looks nice for sure. 3.5 million in the bank, 2 free transfers this year. Team makeup feels cheaper. Yeah, I mean, team value is not as important, that's for sure. Cam, new member, thank you very much. Someone asked earlier what my bus team is. I'll just quickly read it out in case people are like listening to this rather than watching, which they could be. Raya and Gabriel double up against Leeds away. Van Dijk against Newcastle at home. And Senesi Wolves away. Elliot Anderson Palace at home. Szoboszlai Newcastle at home. Fernandes captain Fulham at home. I don't know if that will stick. I might go to Haaland, but I do quite like Fernandes this week. Saka Leeds away. Enzo West Ham at home. Thiago Villa away. And then Haaland Spurs away. Benches. Joachim Anderson, Man United away, and Lewis Hall, Liverpool away. So it's quite, in terms of the bus team, it's a pretty easy setup this week. I just have to decide whether to use 1 transfer or roll to 2, and I'm almost certainly going to roll to 2 if I can. Which 3 defenders with good fixtures? What do you mean for my team? I mean, I'm never going to not play Gabriel, so I don't even know what fixture he's got next week, but I know I'm going to play him. Lewis Hall's got Brentford at home, and Senesi, I think, has got Villa at home. It's fine. Joachim Anderson. Oh, Joachim Anderson's got Everton at home. So I can go Everton at home, Brentford at home, Gabriel. Anderson's good for Defcons. Lewis Hall's fairly attacking. And also not bad for Defcons. So, yeah. I mean, Chalobah will be better than all three. But is it enough to use a transfer? Probably not for me. If you cannot afford Chalobah, what other Chelsea defender would you go for? I would just ignore them. I wouldn't buy one. It's way too risky in my opinion. It's just not worth it. You think Timber will get the goal or assist? Watch it so many times, still don't know. The second goal, I don't think so. The first goal, definitely not. Like in my opinion, there's a very clear angle for the first goal, which shows Timber doesn't touch it. And I know people own Timber and they really want it to not be true, but as soon as they show that view quite close up from behind the goal, it's very clear that it hits the back of Martinez's foot. And there's no clear point in that video which shows that Timber touched it. So, like, I will say this, as a non-Timber owner, I have gotten away with it. It's ridiculous that he doesn't have more attack and returns recently, but in my opinion, that wasn't a goal. Your attack and returns are coming. I really... They're going to come soon. Is it not time to split Haaland out into João Pedro, Watkins, and Evan Nielsen? Don't they outscore any pair for the next 5? Yeah, but if I sell Haaland to João Pedro to do Guiu to Evan Nielsen, that means I've got to bench one of my other players. So it's two transfers to bench someone else that's also good. And forwards, for the most part, have just been rubbish. Like, it feels quite knee-jerk to now, and I know we're on a knee-jerk stream, that's the whole point, but it feels like it's very knee-jerky to sell Haaland to João Pedro and get Evan Nielsen. Like, I'm not saying either of them are bad picks necessarily, but I don't know. I still just think forwards are mostly rubbish. What to do with Palmer if you own him? Wait for news midweek and maybe start him at the weekend. How did he not get the assist from Marino's goal? He just didn't touch it, I don't think. Or if he did, there was like 2 touches afterwards or something like that. I'll be honest, I can't remember the second goal quite as much as the first one. Calvert-Lewin, good pick. He's okay, but the fixtures are not quite so good now. But he may well score tomorrow. Who's on penalties for Aston Villa? We don't really know. I think most people seem to think it's probably Tielemans. But that's not a guarantee. Did Van Dijk just get his extra 2 points? He did. Look at that. Lovely 9-pointer for Virgil van Dijk. That takes me to 2-3-4-7 in the world. Let me just update that. 2-3-4-7. And how many points? 55 points. Nice. 55 points I'm on now. I mean, 55 points is huge this week, considering how the game week's gone, especially with Haaland blanking. I still, like, I know this is like tiny violin, right? You don't want to hear it. I'm doing really well. I still almost can't forgive myself for not playing Anderson. I think I just panicked too much on the deadline stream. I think if I'd had another minute or two to think about it, I probably would have benched Haaland. But I don't know. Maybe I was just afraid he would do something off the bench. Maybe I was never actually going to start Anderson. Elliot Anderson, though, such good value for 5.3. He's like, I thought about this earlier before he even played. I was like, he's such my kind of pick. He's never going to get huge points, but he's just going to tick over with small points. And that's enough. Missed the deadline with no changes. Escape with a small red up to 3 transfers next week. I'll take it. Not if you miss this deadline with the Haaland Foden news and you got a small red, that's probably pretty good. What do you think about between Ahmad, Mbeumo, Cunha? It's Mbeumo, then Ahmad, then Cunha for me. Although, to be fair, honestly, maybe Ahmad is the one. Like, 90 and 87 minutes. Fixtures are good. I really don't hate the Ahmad punt. The only thing I can say, and this is not trying to put you off, this is just giving you information to make your own decision. It's only 2 games under Carrick. They're 2 tough games. Does he change things around maybe for future matches possibly? But I don't hate that Ahmad punt anymore, especially if Dorgu's injured, which he will be. Haaland captains were not punished by the leak at all. Yeah, maybe a few people would have gone like Semenyo captain and stuff, but for the majority, yeah. I mean, Saka was popular, Thiago was popular, Bruno probably had a few captains. Hardly any of them did anything. Oh, is the deadline 1:30 this week? Yes, so it is. Thank you. Late stream for me then. That means there's no early kickoff. What load of rubbish. You think Mbeumo keeps playing? Well, this is the thing. I don't know, right? It's 2 games. All I can say is what's happened so far. I mean, Man United have won 2 games now with Mbeumo playing number 9. He scored in both games. I think you probably keep him there, right? But is that always going to happen? I don't know. My gut, not my gut feeling, my thought on it last week was I just don't see Mbeumo coming out of that team, not from the start. So maybe he could go right wing. It's a risk, for sure. 4 free transfers want to do Achiampong, Foden, Gordon to Chalobah, Bruno, F, and Burma. To do that, I need to get a 6.5 forward or cheaper for Ekitike. May as well go Mane. Yeah, I'd probably go cheap. Yeah, and just use that money elsewhere in a future week. The 6. I mean, you could go Barry at Everton, maybe. I'd probably go cheap, especially if you've got 2 other forwards already. Slept through the deadline and leaks because I live in America. Benched Anderson and Cunha, and I'm still on a 15% green with Tarkowski and Pickford to play. Very nice. Do I think I can win FPL this year? I doubt it. I'm probably still like more than 100 points or so behind number 1. There's so, like, I've had such a run of luck to get to this position. The chances of this luck continuing for the final, like, 15 or so, 13 weeks or whatever's left, it's very unlikely. Obviously, it's a strong position. Like, it's possible to win FPL from this position, but it's not going to happen. I mean, I hope it does, but it won't, unfortunately. Do I see Mbeumo as a risk? For what, though? No. Well, what do you mean risk? Do I see him as a risk to get subbed early? Yes. A risk to not start? Not really. Is Chalobah a better pick than Cucurella? I don't think Cucurella is worth the extra money. But if you want to go slightly differential, because most people are going to buy Chalobah, I don't mind the Cucurella pick if you've got the money. Sell one, Semenyo or Foden. I mean, I guess it's got to be Foden right now, and it unlocks a bit more money as well. It does feel a little bit reactionary. I'm not convinced Foden's minutes are just terrible now. Triple United, a good shout. Bruno and Mbeumo and Ahmad. Again, don't hate it as long as they keep starting. I'm glad you said how lucky you've been. It's wild. It's shown me how lucky you have to be to win. Yeah, obviously. You always need a bit of luck. Like, I don't want to get into a luck versus skill debate. It's one of the most boring conversations in FPL history. Like, it's not like people that say it's just luck, that's obviously nonsense, right? Because otherwise, why would you sit here thinking about it? You would just throw darts at a dartboard to pick your players, right? It's not complete luck, but yeah, of course you need luck to get to the high ranks, obviously. You need stuff to go your way. Like, it could even be simple as like not picking up as many injuries as another person, etc. Who's got a better run of games, Bournemouth or Wolves? I don't think it matters. Like, who? Oh, so you're thinking about Manny and Kroopy. I mean, Bournemouth's fixture run's pretty good. Would you consider Dewsbury Hall once he's back starting again? Yes, but I mean, I won't be buying him unless like Anderson gets injured or something, because I just don't need 2 cheap midfielders. I don't think. Is Dorky a guaranteed starter now? Can't see him dropping unless of injury. Well, he got injured today, so. What should I do with Kroopy? Just keep him for now? Is Thiago benchable over the next 3? I get that he's on penalties. It depends who for. I probably won't be benching him for Villa or Newcastle. Arsenal, maybe. Knee-jerk because of the leak and bench Rodgers, sold Nunez and captain Thiago instead of Semenyo / Haaland. Ouch. Can we wildcard this week? Of course, you just got to click the button. Do you still think Arsenal will win the league? Yeah. Yeah, I don't... Man City, I'm just not... I don't know if Man City... I mean, they could, but I don't think they'll have the consistency needed to keep up, probably. Villa, I just don't... Like, we're talking about luck. I'm not sure Villa's run is sustainable. I'm a bit worried about talking about Villa and not being sustainable because they get a bit annoyed about it. But, yeah, Villa won't be there, I don't think, come the end of the season. Like, they're a good team and they'll finish in Europe and probably Champions League, but in terms of title challenge, I just don't see it. So, yeah, I still think Arsenal will win it, but they're making hard work of it, I would say. And honestly, for a lot of the games today, they just looked ordinary going forward. It really did. I saw some chart earlier today, and it was showing the amount of open play. I think it was open play goals per game, and Arsenal like 1 per game. That's it. I get that the whole league is down on open play goals, but I just think that like... I was thinking earlier when they were playing United, I was thinking if they worked as hard on like attacking as they do with their off the ball setup, they'd be a lot better, I think. But they're still top of the league, right? They're still the best team in the league. They've just topped the Champions League groups as well. They'll be fine. Congrats on the game week. Foden to Mbeumo or Njai. Mbeumo, I think. Haaland doing a Salah of last season, time to switch. For who, though? Like, there's just, if money's not a factor, there's no forwards that are better than Haaland, right? And what do you need the money for? There is absolutely no chance Arsenal win the league. Well, obviously there is a chance. Quite a big one, I think. If you own Palmer, would you just keep him? Probably, yeah. Wilson and Gamarish to Rodgers and Anderson. Not Wilson. Wilson who? Is that Elliot Anderson? Yes, I guess so. Who all should I get rid of? Vandenberg, Dorgu, Gordon, or Igor Jesus? Only one free transfer, 3.8. I'll retain Dorgu Van Dijk. Was wanting to get Bruno / Burma plus a Chelsea defender. I mean, Gordon's probably your biggest concern there, I would say. Vandenberg actually came on today because of an injury, so he might now be back in the team, and they've got some good fixtures longer term. So Gordon's probably your priority there. Keep Cunha if I already own Bruno. I would wait for the Dorgu update, but yes, I think keeping Cunha is probably okay now. Is it ideal to still have Haaland and Saka? I mean, it'd be more ideal if they got points. That would help, but I think it's fine to have Haaland and Saka. I don't really see. Again, I'm kind of just okay with Saka at the moment. Van Dijk scored that goal. What a shoulder it was as well, and it was a Szoboszlai assist, which just made it even better. And they lost the game, which was even nicer. When you've been an Arsenal fan for as long as I have, you've seen this film play out numerous times, but like not from this position. And also, it's helped by the fact that no one behind is really looking like offering anything either. Yeah, Dorgu's going to miss a few games, for sure. How many clones do you have on FPL? No idea. I'm now lost with some of the lower teams picking up points. Which teams are we meant to target? You're still targeting the teams at the bottom. Simple as that. That never changes, right? Unless their defensive numbers become amazing overnight, which is very unlikely, you still target them. You shouldn't massively change your playing style just because of a few good results, you know? Like, most of the best teams are still at the top. Most of the worst teams still at the bottom. I'm still targeting Wolves, Burnley, even Sunderland, to be honest. If you need to play two of Dorgu, Keane, Chow, Anderson, would you take a -4 to do Keane to Chalobah / Munoz? Yes, if you've already made another transfer, because you've basically got 4 defenders there and only 2 are likely to start. And also, Chow's not even that good this week because Liverpool away. Palmer to Bruno and Gay to Chalobah valid. Yes, although I think Gay is okay to hold if you can bench him through the tougher fixtures. Wolves have good defensive data. Yeah, so what? You know, they've had okay defensive data for most of the season. To be honest, they're like mid-table. But like, what does that mean though? Like, we can't have attackers playing against them. I mean, I'd still happily have an attacker playing against Wolves. To be honest, still interested in Munoz in the mids of this Palace chaos. Yeah, to be honest. I mean, what's the chaos really? Like, as long as Mateta stays, I mean, you don't necessarily have to rush and get him this week, but if Mateta stays, the team looks quite good. Glasner's still there. Munoz does what he does. Still think he's fine. I won't be rushing to get him this week, but maybe 26, Burnley at home. I mean, I'm personally not going to buy him because I'd have to bench someone. I just don't think it's worth it. So this week's probably not going to happen. Would you play Harry Wilson against this Carrick side? Probably, but who's the alternative? Ball hit the hand of Richards, Chalobah, and Maguire. Why was the Richards given as a penalty? I don't know. So I can't really remember the rest of them. Yeah, Ekatike to Evanilson looks okay, I think. Is it okay to roll if I have an expensive bench? Ekatike, Van Dijk, and Voltemar. I mean, if the team is good, yeah. Because you might not have like Saka like I do. If you've got Rice instead of Saka, you've got another 3 million spent elsewhere. Already have Palmer and Enzo. Would Bruno and Mbeumo be the best replacements for Foden and Gordon, forgetting anyone else? That's probably where I would go, to be honest. This week. If you could only start one, would you rather Harry Wilson, Senesi, or Thiago? Probably Thiago. Take the penalties. What are your thoughts on Esteval? The minutes are just not guaranteed enough for me. Kroupy versus Manny, probably Kroupy, like I said earlier. But Mane's got more guaranteed minutes, I would say. I think Bournemouth have already signed someone. I think they're in the process of signing someone else. Kroupy keeps getting subbed early as well. But when he plays, I think he's a better pick than Mane. It's close between the two, honestly. They'll probably just both end up being duds in the end. But probably Kroupy. But Mane, I think, is a little bit more secure longer term for minutes, I would say. Yeah, lots of people asking about Ekitike to Evan Nielsen. It looks good. I really don't mind it. I mean, Evan Nielsen can be frustrating to own. If you look at the stats from last season, he underperformed on XG. He's also underperforming on XG this season. So that kind of shows he's not the greatest finisher. So he can frustrate, but he's going to play and the fixtures are good. And he might be on penalties as well, Evan Nielsen. That's not guaranteed. I actually do have a sneaky feeling it could be Kroupy Jr. Or at the very least, I've got a feeling that he will want to take them because there was a lot of talk around the first Tavernier penalty, not the one he just took, that Tavernier wanted to take it, and that Kroupy wanted to take it, and Tavernier basically just pulled rank. So maybe Kroupy takes them, but Evan Nielsen's probably up there as well. Evan Nielsen doesn't have a great record, I don't think, for penalties at Bournemouth. I think he's missed at least one, maybe two. Would you do Dallo to Senesi or play Dallo and roll? Play Dallo and roll. Best 5 midfielders to have in Burma over Enzo. I mean, in Burma over Enzo, maybe, I guess. But Enzo's fixtures are good and he's cheaper. I mean, I quite like my midfield. I mean, if I was on Wildcard and I was sure about Palmer, I'd go Palmer, Enzo, Bruno, and Burma and someone cheap. Rodgers is good too. Why don't we talk Bowen if we're talking 90 minutes and on penalties? Yeah? I mean, one of the reasons we didn't talk about him was because we didn't know if he was definitely on penalties, but it looks like he is. The problem is it's like Chelsea away next, Liverpool away in 28. So the Burnley game's good. Man United at home's not terrible in 26. Bournemouth at home's okay. The fixtures just could be better. It feels bad to buy him before Chelsea away. So that's probably what will put me off, but I don't mind it. O'Reilly and Gordon and Foden and Ekitike to Chalobah, Enzo, Bruno and João Pedro for a -4 no-brainer. I wouldn't say no-brainer, no, because it's a hit and, you know, all 4 of those players could start. But it's okay, yeah. Am I going to keep Szoboszlai? I'm going to keep him this week, I suspect, unless I decide I really want Rodgers. And then I'm going to decide what to do next week. The thing with Szoboszlai, if he keeps playing in midfield, I don't mind him so much. And after the City, like the thing is, Liverpool's fixtures after City are not bad. Sunderland away, Forest away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Spurs at home. Like, they're not terrible if he keeps playing in midfield. The problem is Gomez went off with an injury yesterday. So there's now more chance that, you know, when Frimpong gets subbed off, Szoboszlai's going to go and play right back, which is pretty annoying. Now, he did score the free kick after he got put at right back, so he can still get points, but that's not obviously going to keep happening. So, I don't know. I don't think... I just think if Mbeumo's minutes look better next week, I think I'd rather get him in 25 than get Rodgers this week. I'll probably keep Szoboszlai for now. But he's the position in my midfield that's most up for grabs. Like, I'm not going to sell Enzo until the Chelsea good fixtures are gone. I'm not going to sell Bruno ever. Anderson's a really good value player. Saka probably stays. I mean, maybe Saka could go. But I think Szoboszlai's more likely to go. But yeah, for now I will keep him this week. Again, I'm just going to prioritize rolling the transfer. It's quite interesting because game week 24 was supposed to be the big game week where I made all my moves, but because of the leaks, I basically made them last week. So this week, there's not really too much to think about now. Raya, 2 free transfers help. What are you thinking about doing? Raya, good. Gabriel, good. Tarkovsky's fine. Chow's not so good. Dorgu's injured. Alderetti's fine this week. So you got 3 defenders you can play. Saka, Bruno, Foden, Enzo, Anderson. I guess maybe deal with Foden. Maybe in Burmo. Seems okay. Would you ever consider a -16 if things haven't looked good for a while? Keeping wildcard still seems to be valuable. I wouldn't keep my wildcard for a -16. To be honest. I'm not saying I would never take a -16, although that does seem more and more unlikely these days. But I certainly wouldn't take a -16 over saving my wildcard. -4 maybe, yeah. Is Bruno G a must sell? Well, if he's still injured, yes. Either way, I think 24 is probably a good time to jump off anyway. Just because of the fixtures getting slightly worse now. What would you do with Kelleher considering Brentford's bad next 3 fixtures? Probably just keep him. Goalkeeper transfers kind of suck most of the time, so I would just hold him. Thoughts on Romero? I mean, Spurs players I just wouldn't go anywhere near. You've missed the Burnley and West Ham games now. The fixtures get worse. So no interest in Romero or Solanke or Porro or anyone like that, I don't think. What's my total points? Must be over 1,400. 1,423. 1,423. With premiums being so bad this year, could we see only Haaland being above 10 million? Probably not. I think that would also be bad to do that as well. Or if they're going to decide to not put any premiums apart from Haaland above 10 million, then they've got to increase the cost of other players across the board. Otherwise, it just gets too easy to have everyone you want. I think pricing is tricky for FPL because, you know, they can't foresee circumstances where Salah just falls off a cliff in terms of points and Palmer's got a groin injury forever. Saka's not doing anything. Like, it's tough. Now it just looks like team value's not important. But they've got to be careful not to just make it too easy next year, I think. Would you do Ekatike to Evan Nielsen and Anderson to Enzo for a -4? I wouldn't take the -4. I would just make one of those moves. Are Szoboszlai, Thiago, Tarkowski all good for wildcard? I wouldn't have Szoboszlai on wildcard. I'd maybe have Thiago. I probably wouldn't have Tarkowski. I don't think the fixtures are not terrible for Everton, but I don't think they're good enough to include Tarkowski. I need to have a proper. I can't bloody. Hang on. I need to have a proper look at it when I think about wildcard more. But gut instincts, I wouldn't go there. I mean, the fixtures aren't bad, to be fair. You've got home games against Bournemouth, United and Burnley, 26-29. And before that, 2 away games, Brighton and Fulham. But then it's Arsenal away in 30, Chelsea at home in 31. You've missed the Leeds at home game. I think if you're a Tarkowski owner, you're probably keeping, but I'm not sure I'd be buying right now. Start Mateus Nunes over Ekatike or sell? I would probably just start Ekatike, I think. Unless you're selling, of course. Kelleher versus Dubravka. Yeah, I think Dubravka's okay this week against Sunderland. Is Lewis Hall a sell now? He's sellable, is how I would put it. So if you want to sell him, that's fine. But like, I've looked. The problem for me is Dan Burn's back now, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect Lewis Hall's minutes. I know Burn can play centre back as well, but Eddie Howe has used him left back. And Lewis Hall might need a rest at some point. So the minutes do concern me slightly. Fixture-wise, it's not great, right? 3 of the next 4 are Liverpool, Spurs, and City. But they do have Brentford at home in 25. So like for my team, I can bench him and then maybe play him next week. So he's not must-sell. But if you're in a position where you're having to play Lewis Hall this week, then yeah, you probably just get someone with better fixtures over the next 4. Like if you get Chalobah, that's probably quite good. Would you hold? Yeah, lots of Palmer credit. I probably would hold on, but let's wait and see what happens midweek. Do I think Keane plays game week 24? I'll probably give you a better answer tomorrow, to be honest. If Branthwaite's back in, then no, probably not. Which teams are blanking in game week 31? Whichever teams get to the Carabao Cup final plus their opponents. So right now it looks like Arsenal, Wolves, City and Palace. There are circumstances, though, where City get to the Carabao Cup final and they don't blank in 31. We're just going to have to wait till we get closer to find out what happens. Is Van Dijk sellable if I have Timber and Gabriel so I can play him when I get Munoz? Yes. I mean, fine. I mean, Van Dijk's been pretty sellable for a while, I think. Sell Garner for Mbermo or Gordon for Bruno. I would get Bruno. Should I take a -4 to replace Dorgu if he's injured? Have Van Dijk, No. You just play Mukiele, Gabriel, Van Dijk, right? Are there any City players worth having? I mean, Semenyo looks okay at the moment. Haaland's probably still fine. Gay looks like he's going to get good minutes. Nunes is pretty good at right back. Would I buy any of them right now? No. I don't think so. Maybe Haaland if you don't have him, but most people do, I think. I got Rodgers for 7 million thinking of switching to Mbermo. I'd probably just keep Rodgers if you've already got him. I think if you haven't got either, there's a decision to be made. But yeah, if I had Rodgers, I wouldn't be using a transfer to get rid of him. Van Dijk with an absolute disaster clash, yet he gets 9 points. That's the beauty of FPL sometimes. How he didn't clear that. The thing is, in the end, obviously Liverpool were pretty bad, but up until that first goal, they were in control. Like Bournemouth had barely troubled them, and then Van Dijk fails to clear the ball. The goal goes in, and then it's just like Liverpool forgot how to play football. It just really wasn't good. But until that goal, they were like in control. It's such a weird team this season. What to do with Cunha? I would probably hold on to him for now. Change the transfers out screen. Yeah, I forgot to click that. There we go. Forgot Semenyo was an option, last minute news, and Captain Thiago. Yeah, Captain Thiago was fine. I know it wasn't literally fine, like it didn't work out very well, but without the hindsight, Thiago captain was pretty good this week. Is the best Arsenal triple up Gabriel, Rice plus Timber or Saka? I would say it's Gabriel, Timber plus one attacker. Probably Rice for the value. Is Rice still essential? I mean, he was never essential. Is Rice still a good pick? Yeah. But he was never essential. I mean, this is the funny thing, right? Like, it's easy to call him essential when he's just hit a 17-pointer. It's less so when he's got 3-3-1. But that's the kind of player he is, right? He's not got the attacking numbers of like a Haaland, but he's got some attacking threat. He takes set pieces. He gets defensive contributions as well. He's still a good pick, but no, of course he's not essential. He never was. Who would you sell to get Bruno? Semenyo, Rodgers, or Cunha? Probably Semenyo. Now, based on what Carrick says about Dorgu, if Dorgu's out for a few weeks, I'd keep Cunha. Otherwise, I'd probably sell Cunha. Rice will be essential when he doubles in 26. No, not necessarily. You could go triple Arsenal defense. I probably won't sell Saka for Rice for the double, I don't think. Who gets the bonus points in the United game? Is it shared amongst the 5 players? It is Mbeumo 3. Oh no, Mbeumo and Cunha 3. Marino 2. I don't think Saka and Dorgu and Fernandes get 1. Oh, I never tweeted that I was live. I've just tweeted it now. I've just seen it there. Even though I'm going to literally probably shoot off in a second. Yeah, I think Mbeumo and Cunha get 3 and then Marino gets 1. I don't think anyone else gets any. Thiago to Evan Nielsen. I would just keep Thiago if you've got him. Just does not feel worth a transfer. When was the last time Bruno had a return and no bonus? Today. Would you do Szoboszlai to Enzo today before the price rise? If you're going to get priced out, maybe. Otherwise, I'd probably just wait. Like, there's European matches and stuff midweek. You just never know what might happen. Dorgu is essential if this injury is just a scare. Yeah, I mean, so before Dorgu got injured, I was thinking roll this week, and then if Dorgu starts left wing against Fulham, then Lewis Hall to Dorgu and Szoboszlai to Mbeumo go triple Man United, which a few weeks ago would have sounded crazy. Now not so much, but going to have to wait for a diagnosis, I think. I've got Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and Ekitike with 2 free transfers. Should I go early with selling Wirtz and Szoboszlai for Mbeumo and Enzo before I get priced out, or prioritise Ekitike? I'd probably prioritise Ekitike. Seems the worst for minutes from those 3. So maybe like Ekitike to Evan Nielsen and one of your other midfielders, or maybe Wirtz or Szoboszlai to Enzo. Cherky to Bruno Fernandes and Ekitike to João Pedro for a -4. Probably wouldn't take a -4 for it, but I guess if it's the only way to fund it, it's kind of okay, but don't love it. Is it time to take my Szoboszlai points now and sell? Again, Szoboszlai is sellable. So, and I know people hate this, but he's okay to keep, he's okay to sell. And that is the reality for most players. Like, Szoboszlai is not such a terrible pick that he's got to be sold at all costs. He's just not. But at the same time, if you don't have Enzo, you want to get Mbeumo, you want to get Rodgers, it's okay to sell him. Like, he's not that important either. Like, he doesn't have penalties when Salah's not around, so that dents his appeal a little bit. He's probably going to play right back a little bit more unless Unless Liverpool sign a new right back or even a centre back might help. So Gomez can play right back when he's fit a bit more. Yeah, he's fine, but not much more than that. What about Dewsbury Hall? Let's wait and see how many minutes he gets tomorrow. I suspect for 4.9, he might be an okay cheap option soon. If I was buying this week, though, I'd be very tempted by Enzo Lefebvre on penalties against Burnley at home. If you need someone like 4.9. Or Anderson if you've got a bit more money. Is Maguire a cheap differential? Can't you trust the Man United defence? I just wouldn't bother with Maguire because as soon as De Ligt's back, which might be a while, we don't really know, Maguire's minutes are then a problem. Like Martinez is first choice left centre-back, so it's one spot for Maguire and De Ligt. Like they can play together, but I just don't see Martinez coming out of that team. The thing with Martinez, he offers a lot on the ball. Not that Maguire and De Ligt are awful at it, but Martinez is better, and obviously he's left-footed as well. Anderson, Ekitike, O'Reilly to Mbeumo, Mane, Timber, 3 free transfers. That sounds quite nice to me, yeah. I panicked and did Foden to Njai 1 minute before the deadline. I wish I'd gone for Mbeumo instead. I would have gone Njai first because of the fixture. If you could get Mbeumo in 1 free transfer, would you? Probably, yeah. Annoyingly, I'm 0.1 off. I'd have to go tonight, though, if I was in that position, because I think Mbeumo might rise in price tonight. Thoughts on Chelsea rotation versus West Ham being between Napoli and Arsenal? It's definitely possible. It's probably a question that's a bit easier to answer after we see the team midweek. But the one thing to not forget is Premier League's super important to Chelsea. Like they're probably Chelsea's best way into the Champions League next year is to finish top 5. They're not likely to win the Champions League, right? So there might be some rotation in some of these easier fixtures, but probably not as much as you would think. And also, if Chelsea do beat Napoli, that's really good for them because that would secure them top 8. I wouldn't go João Pedro personally. He's fine, but I would go over Nielsen, I think. Surely Branthwaite doesn't start immediately after a long-term injury. Maybe not. We'll find out tomorrow. But if he gets minutes, I would expect him to be in the team in game week 24. I don't know. Maybe not. The problem is if you're Michael Keane owner, I guess for Michael Keane, he's probably 0 or 90 minutes. So you could risk it next week. But it's just a headache going forward. You're never going to know whether he's going to start or not. Don't write off Rossini's tricky blues in the Champions League. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying their best route is to finish top 5. But Chelsea's not thinking that they'll probably not win the Champions League. No, I'm not saying that. My point is they will still have to prioritise the league because they will want to finish top 5, obviously. I guess my point is I don't necessarily think they rotate in that West Ham game. Can't believe you leaving Anderson in by mistake paid off. I don't think I was definitely going to bench Anderson. Maybe I would have done. I think what I should have done is played Elliot Anderson instead of Haaland. Saka and Cherky to Bruno and Rice or Ekitike out. I think Ekitike is a bigger problem than Saka. And I know Saka's been benched himself recently, but I personally don't think it's quite the same. Like, again, I'm pretty confident Saka starts this week. I couldn't say that about Ekitike. I have 1 free transfer going into game week 24. Which move is better? Lacroix to Munoz. Probably wouldn't do that. Neto to Enzo. Buy a Chelsea defender or roll. Well, whether you roll depends on what 3 defenders you got right now. If they're good, you could just roll, yeah. Like, Munoz is better than Lacroix. Enzo's better than Neto. But is it worth a transfer? Probably not. What's your thoughts on Enzo's game today? Not all that great. There wasn't loads of chances, but he could have scored from open play. He's on penalties if Palmer's out. Just a pretty good pick for the price, I think. Am I surprised about how good you've been this season? I mean, it's always a bit of a surprise to be this high up. Yeah, it's not happened to me that often. I've got a pretty good rank history, but it's been a while since I've been this high up at this stage of the season. Like, I think I've only ever had triple figures once. So, or like got to it in one season. So we'll see what happens. As I always say, it can quickly change. It could just be a bunch of red arrows soon. The luck will run out at some point. Just like I always say, XG over performance, it'll catch up to you. The luck I'm getting will catch up eventually. I just hope it's next season, not this season. Ekitike probably does start against Newcastle, but I don't think you can say 10,000% starts when he literally just got benched the last game, which is also quite important against Bournemouth, right? Like, he probably does start, I agree, but I don't think you can say it's guaranteed. I mean, to be fair, I probably can't say it's guaranteed that Saka will start, but I'm pretty damn confident because he's probably... The thing is, Ekitike will probably play midweek. Saka won't, in my opinion. Obviously, we can just wait and see what happens and then go from there. Ekitike and Cherky to Bruno, and which striker less than 6.5? Barry or Calvert-Lewin, I think. Or just go super cheap and tank the spot. He is absolutely guaranteed. Yeah, but he's just not, you know? You cannot 100% guarantee me it. I'm ranked 9,000. What's your total score to work out the gap between us? 14-2-3 or something like that. Liverpool haven't won a game which Gakpo started in a while. Yeah, but I don't think it's a case that Slot thinks they're better set up without Ekitike. It's just a minutes protection thing. It's just a fitness thing. I think if Slot could guarantee that Ekitike was never going to get injured, he would just start every game. Chow to Dorgu or Chalobah or keep. I mean, I would definitely go Chalobah over an injured Dorgu. For sure. Like, again, Dorgu might not be injured, but he did look like he pulled his hamstring. We'll have to wait and see how bad it is. Whether you do Chow to Chalobah really depends on whether you need a defender this week. If you don't, just hold Chow for next week. I'll be talking about Wildcard, yeah. Do not panic. Right, few more questions, and then I'm going to shoot off and get this uploaded to podcast and then go and eat me Chinese. What a great day. Great day. Man United beat Arsenal. We're still in the top 5k, 2.5k now, and getting Chinese after the stream. And I don't have to go and pick it up. So good. My midfield is Bruno, Wilson, Rodgers, Rice, Semenyo. Should I buy Enzo? Probably not. Probably just hold that midfield for this week. Would you free hit game week 26 if you have 0 Arsenal? No, I think the free hit will be much more... Like, you should get triple Arsenal as soon as you can. Basically. Whether they double or not, probably. But especially if they double. Free hit, in my opinion, will be much more valuable later on than using it in 26. Remember the days where you had to call and collect? I mean, that's literally what we're going to have to do today. To keep or sell O'Reilly with all the other issues. Again, that really depends on your team. O'Reilly started... So maybe he's still first choice left back and going to play regularly, especially if Nunes is back. That helps too. So whether you sell him really depends on, like you said, with all the other issues. So maybe your other issues are more important. Who is more urgent to bring in on one free transfer? Bruno Fernandes or Enzo? Bruno by a mile, honestly. Like Enzo's good, and obviously he's cheaper, but Bruno Fernandes, if you just put Bruno in now, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's just staying until 31, maybe even longer if you don't have wildcard. Like post 31, it's Leeds at home, Chelsea away, Brentford at home, Liverpool at home, Sunderland away. God, we might have Bruno for the rest of the season. How nice. Hopefully Man United get to the FA Cup final, then they'll have a double as well. And on that note, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed that, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, give it a like, or rate 5 stars if you're on podcast and all that good stuff. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, as always, and content all throughout the week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Look forward to the Man United title charge, and I will catch you again soon.